friends, welcome back. We are here again painting with Harold, and this is part 2 of the, hang on, let me get my lights here. That may be a little bright. Let's tone that down some. We will get this part 2 done to where we finish off our, well, we'll finish the entire painting. I guess what we need to do is just go ahead and get started. When we left, I was concerned with if this right here was going to show up good enough, and it looks good enough to me that you can still see our depth into our woods. So I'm going to leave it like it is. I've got a filbert brush, and I'm going to take that filbert brush and I'm going to go right into some of the Van Dyke brown. And I'm going to pick up just a little of the bright red and mix these kind of on the brush. Way more brown than red because that red is so strong. And I'm going to come here to our bank where we started putting in our grass, and I'm going to lay the filbert brush up here and just make me a shape, just kind of a rock type shape. And then I'll come off of that shape with maybe a little smaller one. Drag it out into the water a little. Now these shapes are, they're not, let me see how I want to say this. They're important, but they don't have to be exactly like mine. You can do them however you want. I would avoid having a pyramid. I wouldn't want to put a pyramid out in my water like that. I would or as a rock. And if you end up with something like that, you can come in and cut it off and just kind of flatten it back out. But what I like to do is when I'm doing these is kind of give myself an idea of where I want to rock it when I start to come back for my highlights. Excuse me. And you can skip over from the bigger ones and do, a couple smaller ones. And it's probably best to do that, to give yourself a variance. Because one thing about nature is nature does its own thing. It's unpredictable, really. You can have a bank that's just perfect and picturesque, and the next time you see a bank, it'll be all jumbled up with logs and limbs and just look like trash everywhere. It's funny how it works that way, but it does. It's like if you get a rock that's got a real smooth roundness to it, you can come back and put little jagged edges on it to kind of rough them up. not to say that there's not smooth rocks, because there are in the world, and out in the wild, there are very smooth rocks. But the main thing that I'm looking for right now is that these rocks have a bottom that is kind of straight, but not they don't have to be too straight. I just want them kind of in line, and that's so that when we come back to our water line, it'll look like it's supposed to look. But if you come up here and just tap you in some little formations that are supposed to represent rock, by doing that with your color now, when you come back to highlight it, you'll see what it does. But that's all I'm doing, is I'm gonna go all the way down the whole bank. And if one gets out away from the others, that's fine too. The thing I found that is kind of confusing to a lot of people is people think that their paintings everything has to be perfect. And the reason I know that is because I was the same way when I first started. And it didn't take me very long to figure out that it wasn't gonna be that way for me. I mean, I can't do perfect. Some people can. I mean, you've got people out there that can paint, and they make it look so easy. And they're blessed with that natural talent, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I applaud those people. But I wasn't one of them. I don't have the gift. What I have is just trying to learn. Alright, now I'm going to take my white and put on my brush, and I'm going to take and put it right into that pile of brown and red I had, so it'll kind of tan that color up a little bit. And I want just a drop, a very small drop of thinner in this paint, just enough to thin it up a little. And then I want to come up to these. When I did the other side, I didn't really put a specified light source, other than, I guess, the light's just there. So when we do our highlights, we'll kind of come across the top, and we'll just touch the tops of these rocks, and we'll just kind of let it work itself around and down. And that way we don't have to be too concerned with exactly where our light's coming from. You can just about tell that I'm gonna say the light's probably straight ahead or straight above. So we can say this painting's happening like at almost the noon time of day. But now we can go back in and fix that a little later. We can always go and do some bright highlights somewhere else if we want to put a special time on it. But right here, all we want to do is we want to create us a little highlight on the top side of our rocks. Excuse me. And we don't want kill all the dark. I guess that's the name of the game, is not killing all the dark. Because you got to have the lights and the darks together in order to show. One has to be there to show the other. You got to have light show dark. You got to have dark show light. And then when they work together, you get that effect of almost a 3D look. That don't look too bad. I think maybe a little more on this side. And pick up a little more white. Start running out of color, just get you some more color. Yeah, that's it. And just touch that color around. And you kind of just forming out your rocks, like if you give it a highlight and you come under it and give it another one, and you put a dark space in between it, it just kind of makes it look like a little cut or a little ridge. Or if you just do one spot on a certain rock, it'll look like that spot sticking up higher than the rest. Once you start highlighting, you can see it happening. And once you see it happening, you can just go with it. I'm going to put just a drop more red in this color. Just a very little, not much at all. Just to get that little bit of pink. But we don't want to use very much highlight color right here. We just want to use just enough to let us know that this is rocks over here. Because like I said in part one, even though this painting is, it's across the lake, it don't have to be one of those lakes that's 200 miles wide. It can be just a little small local lake that you like to frequent often with your family to take a swim or just go fishing in. A little place to go have a picnic with you and your better half. We went on a picnic this year, my wife and I, with our granddaughter, and she loves that kind of stuff. We kind of let her be in charge of everything when we do it. And she's growing up so fast now that I don't know how much more this Papa and me Mom time we're gonna have, so we got to take advantage of it while we can. But just about like that's all we need to do as far as our highlights on our. We'll liven these up just a little bit, just a couple spots. Nothing spectacular, but about like that's all we need to do to give that bank over there just a little rocky appearance, something a little different, to where it's not all yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Alright, now we want to take us a 1-inch brush, and we want to come in at the bottom of our rocks, and we want to pull them down just a little. Just kind of go up in them and just try not to get the shadow, but just try to stay at the bottom of it as best you can, and grab a little of the color and pull down, and just be sure to pull this color straight down. If you're having a hard time pulling some of that color down, Just tap your brush in the brown and just come up under it. But you don't have to pull far down on these to get, because this will be effective regardless of how far you pull down. And the reason it'll be effective is because of what we're going to do with our water lines. But just come in under your rocks right here and just pull a little of this color down. And you can see where your brush is touching. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but when you're doing it at home, you'll be able to see your line to where that brush is touching under the rock. And that line is really important. All right, once you do that, knock that color out. And then take your brush, and where that line is, just come under it and very lightly come across. Very lightly. Come across and pull that color. And since your canvas is wet, you can move that paint a little. Ooh. Just barely pull it. And give it that water look. And that'll make it look like your rocks are reflecting into the water across the lake. Then you want to go into your white. All right. Now I'm going to show you this on camera because this is important. When you get your white, pull it out as flat as you can get it and take your knife and go across it. And that puts your paint on top. Did you see how it puts it paint across the top of the knife? And then come back under your rock, right where you see that brush mark at. Keep it as straight as you can. And come under your rocks with this water line. Just make sure you keep that water line level. That's the whole trick to it right now, is you want that water line level. And if you get to a spot that's kind of tight, like this one back here, just use that little edge of the knife and come in and just join it together with this one. Just like so. And keep your paper towel handy to keep that brown knocked off your knife as much as possible. And if you get a little bit of it on there, that's fine, because it'll just look like the water's a little muddy in places. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But just right where your brush was touching to pull that paint down in that separated area, we just want to do us a little water line around our rocks to give it that impression that it's separating the rocks from the water, just like they're sitting right down in it. Excuse me. I asked the birds not to be as loud tonight, and so far, knock on wood, they're cooperating. Because I know at a couple spots in that last video they got pretty loud. But I do know we got storms in our area tonight, and usually when we got storms, I guess they can tell it's gonna storm or tell it's storming. They get kind of vocal. But now, just like that, you have nice little water lines, and you can come back and add a couple more that, you know, just little reflections here and there out in the water. And that gave us a different type of bank, you know, just something. I know we haven't done it before. I haven't got many videos on YouTube yet, but I know we hadn't done a lake with a rock formation like this yet. And it's just another idea, something else you can do and it's not hard. I mean, you've seen what we did. We just put some brown, came back over it with a little highlight, and that's it. I mean, it was just that easy. Now, if you wanted to come in and make it look like you got light coming from one direction to another, you can take some white paint and put it with any other color that you made up here. You could take just white by itself and do it, and just barely touch the outer edge of a group of those trees. Like if you want the sun on this side, just touch the outer edge, or if you want them on this side, touch the outer edge, and it'll make the light looks like it's coming from either direction. And then you can come put you some shadows. I mean, you can really get as detailed into a painting as you want to get. I just basically want to do something simple just to show y'all what we can do by keeping it simple. And let's see if I want to think how I want to close this lake in. I don't know if I want to do because all we have right now is deciduous trees. We don't have any pine trees. Evergreens. I don't guess we really need evergreens. I'd like to know what kind of trees y'all need help, or y'all want to see made more than others. But I know I've done evergreens in every video so far, I think. Alright. I think what we can do is we can come here with this decent sized tree and maybe put us a little path along the front side. We can have us a path that looks like it comes off the painting and goes in behind a tree, either that way or that way. Whichever side. I think it'd look better if it was on this side. So in order to do a big tree, all we need is our brown and green color that we was using the other day, the brown and sap green with a little bit of the blue and the alizarin crimson with a little brown in it, a little more. We'll mix these colors up. I want to try not to break this knife. Alright. That'll be enough color to make us a few trees. If we can't get them all made, we'll mix up some more color. That's the beauty of it. Alright. Let's take us a tell you what, let's take us, we're going to take the big foliage brush, and we'll go right into our color. And we'll start right here at the bottom, like so. Excuse me. And we'll come along the bottom here. We'll just tap us in some color. And we'll come back on this side. We'll start building this up as we go. About like that is how we'll start it. We'll try to keep it as symmetrical as we can, but at the same token, we don't want all the same size type trees. We want them to have a little difference in the way they grow. And then this tree over here, we'll take it up until it goes to feeling good to us. Covered right over them rocks that we made. Well, at least we know how to make them now. That's a good thing about it. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up making some more color here, which that's okay too. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and put out some more color, and I will be right back. Okay, through the magic of TV, I put out some more color. Same colors we had out, the brown, the green, a little more blue. I mixed them all together. And we'll go right back up here. We'll get started right back on our tree again. We'll give him a little shape to make him look more like a tree. About like that. We'll come out over here and give these a little height. Make them look like little trees. Little bushes. And we'll carry them all the way off our canvas over here on this side. Now you can come up here and put in another one as tall as you want it and completely close this side off, but I don't want it to be that tall, so I'm just going to come up about right in here, and that's as far up as I'm going to go with it, with just another little small tree. And that closes the entire bottom end of our painting. And we're going to have to knock a lot of paint out of this brush before we put it in the thinner, because it was pretty loaded. And then we will pick up our script liner We'll put it in the thinner. And that color that we was using to highlight the rocks with, we'll thin it down real good. And with it being as light as it is, it should make some pretty good tree trunks. But it will pick up some of the dark. So with just the tip of the brush, we'll start with it first and then just kind of let the brush lay down as it goes down. And that way when it does pick it up, at least it'll still show. I'm going to do one here. Just pick you out some spots at random. You want to put you in some trunks and some limbs. Because keep in mind, we're gonna come back with our highlights, but we're also gonna try to sneak us in a little trail in here somewhere to make it look like we got this little walking trail that you can go off behind the trees. Alright, clean script liner up. You take your knife and, well, I'll tell you what, let's do it with this filbert brush that we had earlier. We'll take this filbert brush, just clean it. We'll start about here, and we'll come in, and we'll come down, and we'll come out about right here, about like so. It don't have to be a big huge trail, just something that says that there's a trail there. And all this is doing is giving us an idea of where it's at. It's letting us see it. There's no color here yet. But we'll bring some in a little bit. We just kind of want it to go off the canvas right here. About like that. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. And then we'll bring this one in, about like that. Alright, now to highlight the trees with, we're going to go with our 1-inch oval brush. And we're going to dip it into just a little thinner. And it don't take much thinner at all. When you're getting ready to highlight, anytime you're getting ready to highlight and you want to put a little thinner on your brush, just remember it don't take much thinner to thin that paint down enough to where it'll stick. We're going to go into some cad yellow first. We'll start right here. Oh, that's a bright color. Wow. And it's going to pick up a lot of the dark as we go down. There's just about no way to avoid that. You just have to keep loading the brush. And just keep your tree shape in mind, your branches, like how you want your tree to grow. And needless to say, don't kill all the dark. But just like that, you want to come in and just highlight it here and there with a very light touch. And as long as you got enough paint on that brush, you can get away with just barely touching the canvas. It's when you don't have enough paint that you want to start pushing harder. And when you start pushing harder, you start creating that mud, and it muddies everything up. Like right here, we got a spot that's just not as bright as everywhere else. Well, you don't want to come up here and just go to pushing on it. Just get you a little more paint. And you'll find out that that's all you had to do was just put a little more paint on it. Well, it's a wild hair right there. Get it off. Alright. We got that one highlighted. Let's go into another color now. We'll pick us up a little of the that orange color we made the other day. Now if these colors you made the other day are starting to get hard on you, or if you're having to make new colors, it's basically the same colors we used up here. We're just using the same colors so we don't have to waste a lot of paint. I don't think it's wasting paint, because it's, I mean, if you're painting with it, you're not wasting it. That's how I feel about it. And we're just changing up colors here as we go. The Indian yellow, the cad yellow, the yellow ochre. Just changing the colors up. And I think what's happened to me, and it does happen from time to time, is you use these colors enough that they start mixing together to the point to where they all look the same. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put out some fresh yellow. And if my cad yellow, if my yellow ochre don't start looking more like yellow ochre, I'm gonna add a little more of it out too. All right, let's try. Put a little more thinner on that brush. And we'll get back over here in this cad yellow and see. Now, if we can't get it to take on more of a yellow look. Yeah, there we go. See how that orange has got more of a yellowish tone to it now? It's more of a vibrant yellow. That turns out kind of pretty. That's a pretty color. I like that. And what I'm doing is I'm just coming down so far because we're going to put a trail in. So we're going to have colors there for our trail here in a few minutes. Alright, let's go into some of the yellow ochre now. We'll bring it in right here. Yeah, that's pretty. And when we start bringing those colors in for our trail, we want to have us a spot that we can come in and put some grass along the road to make it look filled in. And let's go into our Indian yellow and a little of the white, because that Indian yellow and white it's a real pretty color together. We'll pop it right here. About like so. And then our last one over here, we will, I don't really want a red over here on the end. So let's take us a little green, a little sap green, and go into that color we just made, and get us a light green and that color mixed together, and try to make it look like some leaves are turning colors. Yeah, I think that'll work. We'll get these colors mixed right. A little more white out here. And a little more Indian yellow. Now I'm mixing all these colors on the brush. I'm not mixing them with a knife. Yeah, there we go. That'll make it look like that. Those green leaves are trying to turn to the yellow or to the orange side. And then it starts getting darker down at the bottom, and just don't kill all the dark. And turn that a little so you can see it. But you can see how that was Indian yellow, white, and sap green mixed, and it makes it look like that green's just it's hung on as long as it can for this year, and it's about time for it to go away. Okay, now let's build us a path. And the best way to do that is to take the Van Dyke brown straight on the knife and come in here. Well, let's start up here at our little edge and just lay that Van Dyke brown on. Just pull it across like so. Just pull it across. And if you start running out, go get you some more. But we're just pulling it across that dark color that we made the trees with. It's about going to take all the Van Dyke brown we had, which is fine. That way we know we didn't waste any. Just like so. And let's take a little white and put into that rest of it up here. Just a little. Because we're going to get us it's going to be a tan looking color. And sometimes that tan looking color is enough, and sometimes it's not. I like using a little red with it from time to time, but this time we're going to put a little red and a little blue into that color. Probably a little more white. And we're going to leave it kind of marbled. Yeah, about like that. Let me see if you can see that color. This is the Van Dyke brown, a little white, a little bright red, and a little blue mixed. And it's mixed marbled. And marbled means it's not all stirred real good. And we want to come up here and get us just a little roll of it, like we do in Paint on a Mountain. And we want to come across and just barely skim the surface of this path. And these colors should give us almost a rocky type effect, kind of like almost like a bluish gray rock looking color. And with the brown under it, it'll look like little places of earth that yeah, that's turning out real good. I like that color. That's the color we needed. Just very lightly apply this color. Just let the paint underneath pull off its own highlight. You don't have to put on what you want on. Just let it take off what it wants, because it'll do it. It'll reach up there and take it. Just barely touching. That's all you gotta do. Like putting snow on a mountain. It's just such a light little touch. And your blade of your knife never touches that canvas. All it's touching is that little roll of paint that you're putting on the knife. And then by touching real lightly like that, it's just pulling it off. But just like that, you have a nice little walking path. And now we're going to put that walking path into the painting. And we're going to do that with a fan brush. And we're going to take our fan brush and dip it in a little of the thinner. And we're going to go into some yellow. And we'll bring it over by itself. And we're going to go into some of the green. We're going to mix this up a yellowish green color. And we'll load that brush up pretty good. Now, come right up to your road right here. Let's say it starts. Let's say our grass starts so right here. Just barely touch along the edge of your road here. Now see how I'm doing that brush? I'm keeping my brush straight rather than turning it going this way. I'm keeping my brush straight, and I don't want to bring the grass way out here, so I'm using just the corner. And I'm raising that up to where it makes my grass look like it's standing straight up along the road. And then you can come back and add you another little line out under it. And that way it keeps your it keeps your grass standing up, so it's not all leaning sideways or like the wind's blowing it over. And then to do that up here, same colors. Start at your road and just bend it up. And you can bend it up however high you want the grass to grow. You just have to be careful not to give yourself these smiley faces. Let me do one to show you what I mean. You can put your brush flat and push up and you'll get a smiley face. See how high it is on this side? Now, if you get your smiley face, all you gotta do to fix it is come back under it with the corner and just tie it right back in. That's why it's really best to use the corner of the brush right now, because all you're looking for is just a little grass over here that looks like it's growing up around the road, like it's around your little path. That's all we're going for, is just that effect. And back in here, you know, if you get to put your some out along the bottom here of your tree. And down into here. And it just makes it look like your path coming right down that hill. Just like so. And we didn't kill all this dark, so it looks like it's kind of an embankment here that you can walk down the bank and fish, or you know, whatever you want to do down through here. And over here it just goes off like, it's like, you know, the path just keeps on going. And to me, that's a very simple painting to do, but it turned out really pretty. I mean, I think it's effective. I think it just looks like a peaceful place to be. Like, you know, if you can imagine sitting over there on that grassy bank, just kick back, listening to the sounds of nature. I really hope y'all enjoyed this one. I'll try to get another one in the next couple days. And well, there's one thing I seen I wanted to fix. I wanted to show y'all, because I did not notice it the other day when I was highlighting, but I noticed it when I walked through here, and it's this spot right here. When I was highlighting, somehow or another, I didn't put enough color on that to close it in, and I wanted to fix that. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. Yeah, just like that. That was bothering me. It just didn't look finished. Oh, that's much better. Wow. Okay. I think we're all done, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, thank y'all so much for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. Please tell people about me. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel, and like I've said 1,000 times, my way is not the only way. My way may not even be the right way, but it's my way. It works for me, and I'm more than glad to share it with you guys. If you have any questions at all, or any suggestions, put them in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to scratch in a few twigs and leaves. Twigs and branches. I'm gonna sign it. I'm gonna put an H on it. Well, I guess I can go ahead and do that. Let y'all see it happen. I think today a real pretty red one will work. We'll put us a pretty little H right here. Now, that paint's ready for a frame and a wall. Thank you, friends. God bless y'all.